Hello everyone, welcome back to the SAP Manufacturing Consultant channel. This time we want to be looking at the source inspection in QM. The source inspection basically works that you create an inspection lot right after the PO is created or during the process after the PO is created but before the good received. Okay, so it has to be before the good received. That's the key thing in this situation. Okay, so you can inspect a sample from the vendor, whether it's the vendor is sending you the sample or you picked up the sample there, we draw the sample from the vendor, depending on the agreements, depending on the type of how, let's say, how trustable is your vendor, right? You might want one thing or the other, but technically in the system, you would perform a source inspection when you are doing results recording and a user decision for an inspection lot that was created with a specific let's say inspection type 0101, which is source inspection. Let's jump into the business process. Okay, so the business process for this scenario in particular, it's source inspection accepted. It means that we will accept the inspection lot. Okay, that's a regular process. I would say 99% of the cases you should be just inspecting, you approve, you do the user decision as approved inspection lot, right? And basically, that's the typical thing. For the other cases where you need to reject the inspection lot, we will see in a scenario two in another video. Okay. So we start off creating a purchase order. Okay. Of course, you can create this from other ways, like, for example, from the MRP. If you have a plan order or purchase requisition, you turn it into a purchase order, whatever process you have to create purchase orders. Okay, you will create a purchase order. In our case, we will just go to ME21N and create a purchase order right away. Okay. The second step will be the inspection lot for the source inspection. We will create this or trigger this manually with the QI07 transaction. However, for the regular process at the plant, we should set up a background job, a daily background job for the QA 51, and we need to create a variant. I will create a specific video for handling the QA 51 transaction, creating this background job and variant. Okay. Then we need to go to results recording, and in our case, just to save some time, we will do both at the same time. I mean, results recording, and we'll jump into the user decision just with a double click from the QA51 transaction. And then the good receipt for the PO. Okay, since we already accepted the inspection lot, then we're expecting the goods to go directly to unrestricted stock because we already accepted the inspection lot for the source inspection. That's the purpose of this, right? You save time because you inspected beforehand, right? So then when you're doing the good receipt, you will just receive it right away and you can start using it. It's a real improvement. It's a very good improvement in the process, I would say, to save time and use the raw material without um, losing time, let's say, with inspection. Okay, that's why this process is very valuable in terms of reducing the cost of inspection during the good receipt. Excellent. So let's go and see the process working. Okay, so we will create a PO first, ME21N. And then we will review some master data that is important. Okay, so we will create a standard MB PO. The vendor is 40016. We can press enter here, so we are sure that the vendor was selected. The raw dash MOP, Murieta Farash, we will purchase 100 units or kgs in this case. And delivery date is going to be for 15, for example. Pressing enter. Since there is, let me put it here at the bottom. Since there is a info record for purchasing, here you go. Okay, the price or purchasing price was picked up already, right? And we just need to focus now on specific parameters here. Okay, I will show you. So we have a delivery um, tab, which is important for basically the QM part, okay? Because first of all, we can check that the stock type is going to go to quality inspection, okay? This is controlled by the inspection types we have defined at the material master. Of course, this can be done through MM as well, okay? But if we don't have QM selected, right, of course, MM can send to whatever type of stock they want. But in this case, it's being controlled by the inspection types we have. Okay. The other point to mention here, which is important, is the control key. So we do have a control key assigned to this material. Keep in mind that the control key is plant specific. Okay. So basically, we are saying that for this plant, we want a supplier release, means we need a quality info record to be created and be valid for this vendor for this date, right? And we also use an invoice block. However, this invoice block, we will check that in a separate video, okay? So we will focus now on the supplier release only, okay? Because with this, we are requesting a new quality info record to be mandatory, okay? We can check the info record, okay, the quality info record, right after we create this PO. Just check if everything is fine. Yeah, it looks like everything is fine. We do have some probably some warnings and regarding, yeah, message is fine, right? No need to send any message now. It's just a warning. The price difference, that's fine, okay, because we are purchasing at this price and this is the standard, but that's fine. Maybe we can get we got kind of a reduced price purchasing this time, okay. In case of individual batch, yes, okay. Let me be sure we are selecting that, and the delivery can be met. Yes, we can met that. It's just we're simulating here. This is the one that should be checked, especially if you want to use the. I mean, this is important, okay, for controlling the quantity compared to the invoice and compared to the purchase in order. Okay, the three things, but also it's important if we want to do the invoice block. Okay, but since we're not going to be doing anything related to the invoice block this time, um, still fine if we haven't checked this one, but I'm just doing it so we know we need to do this. The way we can control this is in the info record or in the contract. We should assign the good receipt based in this case, okay? So remember to add it in the quality info record. Actually, we can do it right now. Go to the info record here. Here, this is the info record. Okay, let's do that as well. And let me save first. Let me save it. That's it. So this is the number. This is the PO number. Put it here for later use. Let me do a quick. It's not Q, sorry. It's ME12 in this case. Yes, this is the info record. We can put the number or we can just select the parameters, okay, to determine this info record. So what else we can do here? Yeah. Okay, so also the over tolerance, we can also put it there, okay? But the important thing here is the quit receipt based, okay? Here, this one. It has to be checked. So it's going to be copied over the PO. Okay, let me just save it. Okay, so let's go to the material master just to check a few things. And I will explain the quality management, the two things. Okay, first of all, we mentioned that we have a control key at this plant, right? Which is basically for supply release and invoice block. But I will show you something. So basically, we have plenty of control keys, and inside any control key, we have specific parameters here. Okay, just check one thing. Let me show you very quickly the configuration behind this. Because regardless of the description, right, in the configuration object, we need to see the parameter. Okay, let me double click here for the 7. And like I said, regardless that the description is here, which is normally a description that tells the system that we are using release required and block invoice. Okay, so let me check the good receipt and source inspection control. See, source inspection. So this is important. The release require is because we will require, let's say, quality info record, okay, because of this. And for the good receipt rejection, what we want to do is the good receipt will not be allowed. Okay, so this is related to the source inspection. It means if we reject inspection lot, we are not accepting the good receipt for that, right? That is the commandment here, okay? Or we can do the following, or we can create a new inspection lot and do the inspection, right? Because we might have a corrected product, let's say, after the rejection. But it's up to the company to define what they want to do, right? Source inspection has no effects on good receipt as well. Okay, we can ignore that. But this is a good option, and also this one, if you want to still want to receive the goods, right? But you want to inspect them because you're not sure because you just rejected, let's say, at the source. Depending on the definition, right, of the process, you will do one thing or the other. Well, okay, but here's where you can control that. Keep in mind, it's in the quality key, yeah, control key, right? And then for the batch, the same thing. Create new inspection lot. Okay, this is the control of the batch itself, and basically we'll create a new batch. Okay, so let me just go back again. Go back again, and now I can close the help. Okay. Now I'm going to show you the following: the inspection types we set up, right? So for this scenario, we need to have this inspection type 0101, which is the model inspection, or source inspection, which is the same. Okay. And this is active, and also the C1 is active. We are not going to be doing that in this scenario, in this video, I would say, but there might be different scenarios, right? For example, we might have another vendor for the same raw material where we do not have a source inspection agreement, right? So we cannot go and inspect at the source, or they're not going to send us a sample, right, to perform the inspection before they send the goods, right? So that's the idea. Okay, you can have different scenarios. You can have still the regular good receipt inspection for purchase order, right? For one vendor, the same raw material. Keep in mind that this is at the raw material level, right? At the material level. Um, so whatever we do here will apply to different vendors, right? So how can we distinguish which vendor we want to do one thing and which vendor we want to do the other thing, right? Well, in the inspection, the quality for record, we will define this inspection for the quantity for record, the vendor that we want to perform the source inspection, right? And for the other vendor, we will not assign the source inspection type. Therefore, it will perform the Z1, the regular one. Okay, we will see that in another video probably, but in this one, we will check the info record for this vendor. Otherwise, the video will be too long, right? Okay, so let me close set. And I think we cover already the creation of a PO, so you know why the PO was seen on the source inspection, and now we can see the quality info record for this vendor. There you are. Okay. Okay. So the quality info record. There is a specific video that you can check. We also mentioned the release quantity, which is not in this case. Okay. In this case, we're just releasing this vendor until the end of the year. Okay. Okay, so now we can see the inspection control, which is the important part specifically for the supplier source inspection. Basically, we have here an existing QM system that might allow to skip the batch, but we will control that with this, and we will say inspection active regardless of supplier certification. Okay, so it means it's always active in this case. For another functionality, for the skip functionalities and also for the existing QM system, we will have a specific videos, okay? And we will see what we can do here, okay? For the certification part. But let's leave it this way. So this is neutral. It means we will inspect this vendor, this raw material for this vendor, okay? Then we have the source inspection. The source inspection here is important because when we set up this source inspection type in this field, it activates the source inspection for this vendor. Okay, so basically, we will create an inspection lot for source inspection. Then we have 5 days, basically the numbers of days ahead we want to do the inspection. And then the source inspection, no good receipt. It means if we have performed the source inspection, right, we don't want to create an inspection lot at the time of good receipt. Okay, that is the purpose of this flag here. Okay, so this is the info record. Let's jump into the second part, which is basically to trigger the inspection lot for the source inspection. Okay, let me just back up here. Okay, so to trigger the inspection lot for the source inspection, we should set up a background job. Okay, I will create a video for to show you the background job. Okay, how it works. But for this scenario, we will trigger this manually, just for the sake of shortening the video. Otherwise, it's gonna take QI in this case 07. UI07. I normally put in uppercase just for easy to read. But of course, it doesn't matter, right? It's not case sensitive here, but QI07. It's just for the sake of easily reading. Okay, so let me just present it here. So the supplier, which is 40016, we can create a specifically search, right, for source inspection, but we're going to do this specifically in this case, okay? So we can put the plant, the vendor, and the material without batch, and yeah. Also, we can put the delivery date, right? It's going to be in the future because we want to capture all of them, right? But you can reduce this if you want, okay? If you don't want to be creating so many inspection lots in the future, etc. Okay, so let me just execute. The way this works is basically that we want to let me do the last one. Okay. Um, so we can create from here the inspection lot because this is the PO that it's ready, right? With the setup, let's say, for source inspection. Okay, if we don't have that setup in the info record, the quality info record, this will not be here available, right? So we can check the info record from here, right? Let me just do it very quickly. See, this is the same info record we checked before. Okay, and we can basically create the inspection lot as you can see here from here. Okay, let me just create, preparing to run its inspection, and it should be done. Okay, if I leave this transaction and I come back again, we should have, let me just check one thing. Okay, let me go back. Yeah, okay, perfect, it's gone. Okay, so we already created the inspection lot. Just remember to save during the transaction in order to actually create the inspection lot. Otherwise, it's not going to be saved. Okay, that is important. Okay, so let me check 32. Here you go. This is our inspection lot for this source inspection. Okay, so we are basically we have a inspection lot that is released, as you can see. So let me open it, but instead of opening from here, well, let me do it first just to check one thing. So yes, the batch is not here, as you can see here. Okay, so in general, we need to have a batch to have the control when it's batch managed, of course. If it's not batch management, it's not batch managed, that's okay, right? But in this case, it's batch managed. So we should have a batch, okay, to keep control of the process, okay? So we suggest to whether you create a batch during the PO, as I shown you before, that there was no batch, but we were able to create a batch from there, or we can do it from here, okay? But of course, you need to be in the edit mode, okay? So we cannot go to the edit mode from here. So and let me just open a new session here. Let's go to QA02 inspection lot. Here you go. Okay, so we can create a batch from here. Let me create one batch. Turn on number assignment, that's fine. Of course, you can use also, if you're using external numbering, right? You can put probably the vendor batch here. Okay, it's up to the company what they're doing. Some companies are using only sequential number of batches in the company, right? And of course, you can still put the batch at the time of good receipt, right? You can put the vendor batch, I mean. So specifications, this is important. We are using inspection plan with another usage. Typically 51 in this case is the standard SAP, but of course you can change that if you want, but typically you will need to create a specific inspection plan for the source inspection, okay? If you want to use the same as you're doing for the regular good receipt from PO, which is the CO1, you can create a copy of that one, right? And change the usage only, right? Otherwise, you need to change the usage for the 0101 movement type. Okay, that's another option if you want. Or you can assign it manually, but it's not advisable because you need to come back every time you create a source inspection, you will need to assign a different usage here, right? Okay, so we are using sample management, and that's it. I think the only thing I wanted to mention is about the batch that we will need. You want to save? Yes. Okay. So we're done with this step, which is basically we have a inspection log now for source inspection, and it's the samples are released, etc. Right. So we can jump into the regular process, which is the results recording and the user decision. Okay. So let's quickly do the QA51N, the results recording. Okay. And let me do it for today, it is adjusted, and we have this source inspection that start with 10 because of the zero 01 CO1. Okay. Excellent. So let me put some results here. Let's assume it's 15, for example, and it's 1.3. Okay. So let me just yeah, let me accept this one and the moisture content as well. Excellent. So let me save it. Let's do these very quickly because this is pretty much standard, right? And let me double click here. Remember at the inspection lot level, so we can jump into the QA 11. Okay, so we will save some time jumping directly to the QA 11. And choose the user decision. Basically, we don't need necessarily separate inspection type, right? We just can accept here from the zero 01. And let me just press enter. There is no out of spec inspection, right? And we can just take a look at the samples in this case, right? It's already accepted. And we might need to put some, well, we can do this at the time of the good to sit, right? So we don't need to necessarily just save it. Of course, this inspection lot is not stock relevant, right? Because there was no good to sip yet. Therefore, you're not doing any movements for the stock, right? There is no stock. That's why this is not stock relevant. There is no movement to be done. Okay. That's it. We cover both the results recording and the user decision at the same time. Okay, let me take some notes here. So we have a batch, which is basically 108. And what else? Well, inspection lot. Maybe we would just to keep track of the inspection lot. So we have all the information now. Before we leave, let me take a look at the MMBE for this. System is kind of slow today. Okay. So basically, as you can see, there is no 108 batch, right? Yet. Yet. Okay, take a look at what we have so far, okay? Now let's jump into the my transaction, my GO, good receipt for purchase order, and this is the purchase order. We press enter, so we will see the lines. In this case, is one line for 100 kgs of this Noriate potash, and the batch. Let me just add the zeros, leading zeros. It's going to be one, two, three, four, five, six, seven zeros. Yeah. Okay. I need the batch for the following. Okay, so we can see that it's 100 kgs, right? Where it's at the plant, storage location for raw materials 001. It's going to quality inspection, as you can see, and the purchase order data, right? It's going to be set automatically, delivery complete, depending on the quantity. And the important thing here is the batch. Okay, we want to keep track of the same batch we have created the inspection lot for, and we also want to assign it here. Okay, then you can assign the supplier batch. That could be, I don't know, vendor, uh, yeah, 108, date of manufacture. Let's put, for example, it was on the 1st of August, right? And I think we cover everything. Yes. Let me just check the classification, remaining shell life. For the batch, let's put 30. Oop, yeah, days. Yeah. And that's it. Let me check. Oop, item okay first, and then check. Let's see if everything is fine. Yeah, documents okay. Yeah. Okay, excellent. So let me post it. And that's it. This is the material document we have. Let me check the stock here. Okay. Let me, what we want to see here is basically the following. Since the batch is linked to inspection lot that was correctly accepted and it's a source inspection, and we define that we do not want to create a new inspection lot, right? Because it was accepted, right? Then we should see the unrestricted use here and not acquired inspection after doing the good receipt. Let's see if that is true. Yeah, it is. As you can see, instead of coming into quality inspection, it was received directly into unrestricted, regardless that we saw that it was going to quality inspection, right? Okay. So when we were doing the good receipt, we saw that it was going to quality inspection. But at the time of the good receipt, since the batch was already, let's say, accepted for the inspection lot actually was already accepted for that batch, that quantity, then the system moved directly to unrestricted use. There was no movement for quality inspection, right? And no 321 into unrestricted use. That is the main, let's say, outcome of this process. Okay, that this is exactly what we wanted to achieve, right? Okay, let me do the following. Maybe 51 for the batch 108. This vendor, this, let's see all the movements for this batch and this raw material. Just one movement, as you can see. In the regular process, we should have sent a movement, right, from the inspection lot, inspection, quality inspection stock into unrestricted, right, and here to the 321. But here we see just the 101, and that's it. Okay, this is what we wanted to do. Excellent. So I hope this was clear. If you have any question, please leave it in the comments. Suggestion for other functionalities or other scenarios. For example, I'm thinking about creating a scenario where we reject the source inspection, okay, and we will see what might happen, okay. That's be another video as well, okay. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like it if you like it, and if it adds any value to your knowledge. And also, you can suggest other videos as well. And please subscribe if you're not yet. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.